The men were sore afraid. And Abimelech called Abraham and said unto him, What hast thou done unto us, and what have I offended thee, that thou hast brought on me and on my kingdom a great sin? Thou hast done deeds unto me that ought not to be done.
And then if someone wants to read 10 through the end of the chapter, 10 through 18. Or I can read that.
Then Abimelech said to Abraham, What did you have in view that you have done this thing? And Abraham said, Because I thought, surely the fear of the Lord of God is not in this place, and they will kill me on account of my wife. But indeed, she is truly my sister. She is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife. And it came to pass, when God caused me to wander from my father's house, that I said to her, This is your kindness that you should do for me in every place. Wherever we go, say of me, he is my brother. Then Abimelech took sheep and oxen and male and female servants and gave them to Abraham, and he restored Sarah to his wife to him. And Abimelech said, See, my land is before you. Dwell where it pleases you. Then to Sarah he said, Behold, I have given you your brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Indeed, this vindicates you before all who are with you and before everybody. Thus she was rebuked. So Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech, his wife, and his female servants. Then they bore children. For the Lord had closed up all the wounds of the house of Abimelech because of Sarah, Abraham's wife.
Okay. I think it's imperative that we remember exactly what Abraham is coming from here in verse 1. And Abraham journeyed from there to the south and dwelt between Kadesh and Shur and stayed in Gerar. So we see here as he's just leaving the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, as we just read earlier. And as we are coming on here, he's going to Gerar. And now he's worried. Now he shouldn't be, but he does. But he worries that he's going to be killed because his wife is very pretty, and worried that the king would kill him for his wife. So what he says here is that she is my sister. Now, would this be a lie?
It's a
Half-truth. Why is it a half-truth?
because he was her half brother.
Correct. Yeah. So he wasn't really going in purposely. Well, he was purposely lying, but he was actually telling partial truth. He was for sure not saying that he was, that she was his wife, even though to say that she is his sister, which is the truth, who is doing it with a half lie, a half truth, which, in all honesty, is a lie. So again, like with what we said, the reason why he has done this was that he had feared for his life. Now, this is not the first time this has happened. Does anyone remember exactly what happened? What was the last time this happened to? Yeah, we see this in Genesis chapter 12. You guys want to join me there? Genesis chapter 12. We're going to read 10 through 20. Genesis chapter 12, 10 through 20. Now there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt to dwell there, for the famine was severe in the land. And it came to pass when he was close to entering into Egypt, that he said to Sarai, his wife, Indeed, I know that you are a woman of beautiful countenance. Therefore, it will happen when the Egyptians see you, that they will say, This is his wife, and they will kill me, but they will let you live. Please say that you are my sister, that it may be well with me for your sake, that I may live because of you. So we see here, right, that he does this lie yet again. But we know there's a promise given to Abram earlier, that through his seed, all nations will be blessed. He should know that he is in no type of danger, that he does not need to lie. He has God on his side. But yet we see here, as strong as Abraham is with God, he makes errors and he does wrong as well. But he does the same thing, not trusting in God, by doing this lie, saying that his wife is just only his sister and not only his wife as well. And this continues down on. We see, the Lord warns Amalek. I think that's how you say it. Abimelech. Okay, thank you. Warns him that this woman does not belong to him, and that he needs to return her. We see this. Let's see here in verse 6. And God said to him in a dream, "Yes, I know you did this in the integrity of your heart, for I also withheld you from sinning against me. Therefore, I did not let you touch her. Now, therefore, restore the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and he will pray for you, and you shall live. But if you do not restore her, know that you will surely die, you and all who are yours." So, this sin that Ahimelech had done, just because his integrity in his heart was right, does that mean that the sin in which he has done was correct? This is one of the questions that we have. I think it was 7. Yeah. So does his integrity remove the guilt of his sin? No. Now, granted, he says here, "I will withheld you from sinning against me, for I did not let you to touch her." But he says, if you do not restore the thing which you have done, otherwise he's stealing some other man's wife. It doesn't matter if you're doing it with the right integrity and doing it for a right reason in your heart. If we sin against God, doesn't matter if we have it right in our own hearts. But again, God came to him, warning him about this thing. And so we have here in verse 8, so Amalek rose early in the morning, called all of his servants, and told all the things in their hearing. And the men were very much afraid. And Amalek called Abraham and said to him, What have you done to us? Have I offended you, that you have brought unto me and unto my kingdom a great sin? You have done deeds to me that ought not to be done. Then Amalek said to Abraham, What did you have in view that you have done this thing to me? So we see not only did one sin lead on to another sin. I think this is a big thing. Abraham lied and then led down to where Amalek was about to steal his, Abraham's wife. Bad things will trickle into bad things. Good things will trickle into good things. Sin leads on to more sin. I think this is the key.
More chance of Abimelech taking Abraham's wife if it would have been his sister, because then she would have claims on. I don't understand why he called her his sister.
Because he was afraid that if they knew that they were husband and wife, that they would kill Abraham so that he could take her.
Yeah.
Abraham didn't do it because he was concerned about Sarah. Did it because he was concerned about his own skin. He said, if they know you're my wife, they're going to kill me and take you. But if you're my sister, then they take you, but at least they're not going to try to kill me.
Yeah, I think we especially saw that when we were in Genesis 12.
Pharaoh.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the age of Sarah this time, but when the Lord told Abraham to get out of the country he was in, and anyhow, when he departed, he was 75 years old, so that meant that Sarah was in her mid maybe later, because I don't know the time figure between that and, he said about the sister's deal. But at 75 years old, she must have really been, quite old.
Yeah.
She had Isaac when she was 100.
Well, how old were they living?
How old your wife? 29.
How old did Abraham live to be, though? Abraham lived to be very old.
Well, yes, but,
Yeah.
you know, and I know that probably at that time, the people did live a lot older, so they probably didn't age quite as fast. But, still, you know, kind of blows your mind when you see.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, and it gives reason, I mean, to where, you know, Abraham didn't have patience here. You know, he's more worried about his own skin when, you know, especially when he's already been promised something. But to them, they feel like it's impossible, you know, to have a child at that far in age. It was not possible. I mean, even before we saw, you know, he took up the bondservant of his wife to create this generation in which he, you know, this nation that he thought was promised, but this wasn't what the promise was given. It was given through Sarah. And so we see multiple times here that, you know, Abraham worries about things in which he shouldn't have to worry about. God has given a promise and he's faithful to complete those promises. And yet this leads on to the sin, which then Amalek had took his wife, and obviously here says, you know, he returned her. As we read in verse 11, and Abraham said, because I thought, surely the fear of God is not in this place, and they will kill me on the account of my wife. Oh, so Abraham said this. But indeed, truly, she is my sister. She is my daughter of my father, and not the daughter of my mother. And she became my wife. And it came to pass when God caused her to wander from my father's house, that I said to her, this is your kindness that you should do for me in every place, wherever we go. Say of me, he is my brother. And then Amalek took sheep, oxen, and male and female servants, and gave them to Abraham. And he restored Sarah, his wife, to him. And Amalek said, see, the land is before you. Dwell where it pleases you. Then Sarah, he said, behold, I have given your brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Indeed, this vindicates you before all who are with you and before everybody. Thus she was rebuked. So Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Amalek, his wife, and his female servants, then bore children for they bore children, for the Lord has closed up all the wombs of the house of Amalek because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. So we see here that he made restitution. He returned Sarah, and the curses that were given onto Amalek's family was taken away. You know, they can bear children now, and that's, you know, God purposely here stopped him from sinning. We saw that in verse 6, that he would not touch her. Okay, so that's chapter 20. And then as we go into chapter 21, if someone wants to read, let's go through 21. Let's cut this short a little bit. Let's go to 12. If someone wants to read chapter 21, 1 through 12.
And the Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah as he had spoken. For Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age, at the set time at which God had spoken to him. And Abraham called the name of the son who was born to him, whom Sarah bore to him, Isaac. Then Abraham circumcised his son Isaac, now when he was 8 days old, as God had commanded him. Now Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him, and Sarah said, God has made me laugh, and all who hear will laugh with me. She also said, who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children, for I have borne him a son in his old age? So the child grew and was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast on the same day that Isaac was weaned. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, whom she had borne to Abraham, scoffing. Therefore she said to Abraham, Cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, namely with Isaac. And the matter was very displeasing in Abraham's sight because of his son. But God said to Abraham, Do not let it be displeasing in your sight because of the lad or because of your bondwoman. Whatever Sarah said to you, listen to her voice, for in Isaac your seed shall be called. Yet I will also make a nation of the son of the bondwoman, because he is your seed. So Abraham rose early in the morning and took bread and a skin of water, and putting it on her shoulder, he gave it and the boy to Hagar and sent her away.
Then if someone wants to read on to verse 22 or through 21. Starting midway through 14. Or I can read. Then she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba, and the water in the skin was used up, and she placed the boy under one of the shrubs. Then she went and sat down across from him at a distance, about a bow shot, for she said to herself, Let me not see the death of the boy. So she sat opposite of him and lifted her voice and wept. And God heard the voice of the lad. Then the angel of God called to Hagar out of heaven and said to her, What ails you, Hagar? Fear not, for God has heard your voice, the voice of the lad where he is. Arise, lift up the lad, hold him with your hand, and I'll make him a great nation. Then God opened her eyes and saw a well of water, and she went and filled the skin with water and gave the lad a drink. So God was with the lad, and he grew and dwelt in the wilderness and became an archer. He dwelt in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took a wife for him from the land of Egypt. And it came to pass at the time that Amalek and Philcol, what was that? Fickle, thank you. The commander of his army spoke to Abram, saying, God is with you in all that you do. Now therefore swear to me by God that you will not deal falsely with me and with my offspring, or with my prosperity, but according to the kindness that I have done to you, you will do this, you do to me and to the land in which I have dwelt. And Abraham said, I will swear. And Abraham rebuked Amalek because of a well of water which Amalek's servants has seized. And Amalek said, I did not know who has done this thing, and did not tell me, nor have I heard of it until today. So Abraham took sheep and oxen and gave them to Amalek, and the two of them made a covenant. And Abraham set 7 ewe lambs of the flock by themselves. Then Amalek asked Abraham, What is the meaning of the 7 ewe lambs which you have set by themselves? And he said, You will take these 7 ewe lambs from my hand, and they may be witness that I have dug this well. Therefore call that place Beersheba, because of the 2 of them swore an oath there. Thus they made a covenant at Beersheba, and Amalek rose with Fickle, the commander of his army, and returned to the land of the Philistines. And Abraham planted a tarmask tree in Beersheba and called on the name of the Lord, the everlasting God. And Abraham stayed in the land of the Philistines many days. All right, so we're going to first start off in verse 21. We just, chapter 21, as we see how Sarah just was bore to him Isaac. How long of a time period do we see here? This is in actually question number 9. How long passed between God giving Abraham the promise of a son and the fulfillment of this promise? 25 years. We see this in, if you want to go to Genesis chapter 12, 1 through 4. This is the promise. Genesis 12, verses 1 through 4. Now the Lord has said to Abram, Get out of your country and from your family and from your father's house to a land which I will show you. I'll make you a great nation. I'll bless you, and I'll make make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. I'll bless those who bless you, and I'll curse him who curses you. And in all your families of the earth shall be blessed. So Abraham departed as the Lord had spoken to him, and Lot went with him. And Abraham was 75 years old as he departed from Haran. So he was 75 years old when the original covenant was made by God. This promise was given. Then in 21:5, what we just read, 21 verse 5, now Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. So we see from 75 to 100, 25 years. 25 years so that he was to have patience and waiting on God. This is a big thing for us to realize God has promised the good things for us, and we need to just be patient. He waited 25 years for something that, for a child to be born out of now almost 100-year-old, woman, and, he's always faithful to complete what he has promised. Did you want to say something?
I was just going to say that when we ask God for something, we have to realize it's not on our time. It's on his time. And he will answer. He's faithful to answer.
Yeah.
It might take him a while, or the answer may be no, but it's on his time, not ours.
100%. And we have to pray knowing that he's going to answer. We have to be faithful, believe that our answer, our prayers are going to be answered. All right. So we see here Isaac is born, which the seed that was promised, it would be through him. As we go through down, we see that she asks Hagar to leave Sarah. Now, this was common practice. I'm going to read from the book because I think it's imperative that how he said it was just really good. The expulsion of Ishmael, which is the son of Hagar, must be understood of the current civil laws. Although the laws differ from country to country, what happened in Abraham's family was typical of that era. In the event that a barren wife raised up a child through a slave, the child heir, if the wife later gave birth to a child, the child of the wife was heir, and the slave-born child was not. However, the slave-born child was not given his freedom. Harold G. Stiggers comments, thus complementary circumstances reveal Abraham torn between the law and love. Abraham would have kept Ishmael because of disimplied love for him. He hesitated to comply with Sarah's demands, but legally the decision has been delayed too long. If Ishmael was not to be designated as heir, then he and his mother should be freed. So again, this was common law at this time for them to be separated. And we see here that Abraham was displeased. We see that in 12. But God said, let's see here. In 11. And the manner was very displeasing in Abraham's sight because of his son. He loved his son, Ishmael. All right. As we continue down through, let's see here in verse 22, because we see that Ishmael would still have a good land, he would make a great nation still out of Ishmael, even though the promise was given through Isaac, that Ishmael would still have a great nation as well. And it came to pass at the time that Amalek and Phicol, the commander of his army, spoke to Abraham, saying, God is with you in all that you do. Now, therefore, swear to me that you will not deal falsely with me or my offspring or with my prosperity, according to the kindness that I have done to you. So we see here that Amalek feared God and knew who God was and asked, Abraham to make this oath here. That, but there was one thing holding him back, and we see that it was a well that he had dug that Amalek had taken away from him. We see here later that he didn't know who had took this from him, but it would be returned to him. Abraham took sheep and oxen and gave them back to Amalek. They made a covenant there. And that we had the 7 ewe lambs that was set there, and that here in verse 30, the purpose of this was, he said, "You will take these 7 ewe lambs from my hand, and they may be witness that I have dug this well." Therefore, he called that place Beersheba, because of the 2 of them swore oath there. Thus made a covenant with Beersheba, at Beersheba. So Amalek rose with Phicol, the commander of his army, and returned to the land of the Philistines. Then Abraham planted a tarsmec tree in Beersheba. Now, the purpose here, the big reason we see the tarsmec tree, we see this, let's see, in question 23. What was the significance to the tree in this instance? In verse 33, it was a long living tree. Very similar to we see here in a little bit further, and they called on the name of the Lord, the everlasting God. This is a long living tree that this oath that was given would last a good time. And that would be the very end of 21. So we get to look in lesson 11. We went through 20 and chapter 20 and chapter 21. Appreciate you guys helping me out, and hope everyone is safe going home. Mm-hmm.